One of the most challenging things that a leader faces when leading in a church situation is, what do you do with those leaders or even staff people that aren't living up to the capacity that's really required of them? I mean, I know I've faced it, and I've talked with numerous other pastors that wrestle with the same thing. And it really comes down to this main question: can you actually fire someone in ministry? See, some feel it makes the church seem too much like a business. I totally get it. But the other fact, and many understand actually from walking through difficult experiences, is that if we don't learn to address these very serious issues, kingdom dollars are oftentimes misused. And if we're honest, this has been allowed in ministry far more often than it should be. Our command to love or even to be kind shouldn't cause us to waste kingdom assets. The fact is, in nearly every situation I'm aware of where this type of decision is made, it really isn't an issue of likability. It's not, we don't love the person or we don't care about their family. If this was the case, the process would be a whole lot easier, wouldn't it? It doesn't even always mean the person did something wrong. Sometimes it's a simple issue of chemistry or fit or cultural difference. Oftentimes the person proves later to be a great fit somewhere else. Making this difficult decision has many times proven best for all parties involved, but admittedly, getting to the point of release is sometimes the most difficult process in leading an organization. As hard and delicate an issue as this is, it is poor stewardship, in my opinion, not to actually take time to address the issue. So let me give you today kind of 5 suggestions to consider when it comes to that point of having to remove somebody from ministry. First thing is this: you got to be certain. Not as much from a legal sense, but from a moral sense. See, we need to be sure that this is the right move. You need to be legal too, and if you aren't sure, take some time and ask. I've always found people that have more experience, that this is their area of expertise, even attorneys, that you can sit and talk before you come to this decision. There's wisdom in the counsel of many, and so learn to live by that. The fact is, it will be difficult no matter what. It may even be messy. There is usually some damage done to the church as a whole. You shouldn't hide from the right decision because of it, but you should make sure you're making the right decision. The second thing to consider and to learn to live by is be generous. See, this will differ depending on the person's tenure with the church and maybe even the reason for dismissal. But be as generous as you reasonably can be. This could be financial, but it could also be in the way that you allow an exit to actually take place. I've had some unique situations that I've always had to take time to learn to accommodate. Knowing how hard this is going to be for the affected party, as much as possible, consider being overly generous. The third thing is be graceful. I've been involved in a few situations that were a little bit messy, involving the release of staff members. Many times the most gracious thing to do to the departing staffer is the information just isn't shared. It stays internal. There's always more to the story, and the reality is there are going to be people that want to know what the more is. Sadly, many times for the wrong reasons. Keeping information as confidential as possible really extends grace to that person and the person's family and to the church. Grace should also be extended in creating an exit strategy which protects the person's future employment possibilities as much as is possible. There may be moral or even legal issues that you may feel obligated or legally have to share, but as much as you can possibly, extend the hand of grace. The next level is be honest. Here I'm talking about the way in which you communicate to the person that's actually being released. Don't sugarcoat it. Now is not the time for that. What's the real reason? Hopefully by this point there has been sufficient due process and fair warning, and an effort of trying to coach them up and help them grow in their capacity to lead, except in cases where an immediate exit is the only option. Either way, tell the truth. I've seen churches disguise the real issues in an effort to land kind of a softer blow. Many times this only actually creates more tension and grows the mess long term because of the ambiguity and the uncertainty of the dismissal. Next, be helpful. How can the person improve for their next position? What are the areas that they do well? What ways can you help them land better into their role or the right fit for them? The person won't always be open to your help, but you should be available to help them wherever and however that might be. Now, I get that this can be very, very difficult. No one enjoys this discussion or even this process. I didn't even enjoy having to talk about this right now. But the reality is we need to be biblical in our approach in everything that we do. And it's not biblical to avoid hard issues and even hiding behind a label of, well, they were called to ministry. My encouragement to you as a leader is lead well, lead the vision, lead the culture. Be a good steward of what God has placed in your hands.